of 121 case dockets that were under investigation were taken away from the task team as directed by a Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, a Lieutenant General Sibia, who was acting on the instruction of the Minister of Police to disband the team.
General Mkhwanazi said, "No, I don't want these dockets in my province." He refused that.
This syndicate involves, amongst others, politicians who are currently serving in Parliament.
Those statements that he has made, we will, in good time, apply our mind to those kind of statements.
This is not a matter that we should not give attention to. It is a serious matter. It has to do with the security of our people, but it also has to do with our adherence to the rule of law.
All right, let's continue with our coverage of the fallout and reaction to the damning allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Joining me now is National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza on the House's response to the explosive claims. Speaker, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Let's understand first the rationale in setting up 3 committees that are going to process these allegations, and why block a debate?
Well, thank you very much, Oli, and to your viewership. Firstly, I think we will all agree that this is an important matter that has been raised and is of public importance. Therefore, in terms of our rules, it does allow that parties or a member of parliament can request a snap debate in the discussion of any matter of a public importance. However, those issues are reflected upon by the Speaker to see to what extent this would assist the public. One appreciated that 2 parties had made a request for a snap debate. We then looked at it and asked ourselves whether or not will it be possible for now to have a meaningful debate given the allegations. So the view of the Speaker was it is important to actually have 3 committees. And the reason for those 3 committees that this matter has been referred to is because of the role that they play in terms of oversight and on the matters that General Mkhwanazi has raised, which is on the safety security cluster, which includes the police, as he had made the allegations, as we all would know. And the view of the Speaker was that it is important to ask the police portfolio committee and the Justice and Constitutional Development Committee to actually confer and look at an approach and a process that Parliament must follow. Within 14 days, they would come back to Parliament to advise what approach should Parliament take on this matter that has been raised.
Yeah.
The other matters relate to the intelligence community. That's why it has been referred to the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence.
Let's then understand which of these committees are going to conduct their work, and will they be open to the public? My assumption is that 2 of them will have that ability, the police and Justice and Constitutional Development. But members of the public will also be keen to know the Joint Intelligence Committee one, and whether or not we are going to be privy as members of the public to hear what is going to be said there.
Well, Koli, the way we have agreed with the two chairpersons is that there would be a joint committee meeting which would look at these matters. So they won't meet separately. So the police and the justice committee will meet together, look at these matters, advise Parliament, because there must be a decision on the House on what needs to happen with these allegations and how, as Parliament, in our oversight responsibility, needs to engage with these matters. The Joint Standing Committee, obviously, they would also report to Parliament. So members of the public would also appreciate how that committee had dealt with those matters.
But that specific committee on intelligence, its work is largely secretive. And how will we know what is discussed there? Because that's where the issues are, Speaker.
Well, Koli, I'm sure you'd appreciate why the matters of intelligence in any country, not just in South Africa, are discussed in the manner in which they are discussed in committees, not at the glare of the public.
And so it's safe to say...
Because of the sensitivities...
Please continue.
It's safe to say? No, I was saying the report will be tabled to the House on how that committee had looked at the matters and what they are recommending.
Yeah. All right. So you said within 14 days, all of these committees are then going to report back to yourself or to structures of Parliament. What happens thereafter?
They will report to the House. So that report will be tabled in the National Assembly, where parties will debate and then take a decision on how this matter will be further dealt with.
Let's discuss then, Speaker, the implications of a member of the executive deliberately lying to a parliamentary committee. What are the penalties? Let's start there.
Well, let me say that there are processes when a member of Parliament has made or a statement that might be seen as having misled Parliament. There are structures of Parliament that would deal with that matter and report to the House on what needs to happen. So we cannot preempt because it will depend on how that committee will deliberate on the matter.
Previous occasions where people have lied before parliamentary committees, what has been the sanction?
Well, Koli, it varies. And I don't think it would be of use, in my view, to debate what kind of penalties are given to members when they said what, because it depends on the matter and how the committee, and I can't take the role of discussing how the committee would look at the matter at the end, what decisions they would make.
Speaker, you'll appreciate the seriousness with which this matter ought to be handled, not only by the executive, which is led by President Ramaphosa, but also Parliament. And the reason I say that is that Parliament was essentially on trial before the Zondo Commission, and therefore your hand in how you deal with this, you are going to be watched closely by members of the public. And I'm raising this question about members of the executive lying to committees or disrespecting committees. And I don't think that I am wrong in suggesting to you that at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a firm hand or a clear direction as to how Parliament intends dealing with people who lie before Parliament. And there are two examples that are currently facing the public. The Minister of Police and indeed the Minister of Higher Education and Training. How are you dealing with these two errant members?
Oli, with all respect, you are correct, these matters are serious. You are also correct on how the Zondo Commission on the state of capture, reflected on the role of Parliament. But also you would recall that the then Public Protector, Madonsela, also made her own observations on how Parliament might have dealt with other matters. And I think it is important for me to indicate that Parliament has learned lessons on those matters, which is the reason why, even at this stage, when this matter was actually announced by General Mkhwanazi, the view of Parliament was this matter is important, and holding the executive to account and lawmaking cannot, just leave this matter of such a Parliament. It's important to make sure that it structures, does the work that it has to do without being put under pressure, without us preempting what those committees ought to do. And even on the matter of the Ethics Committee, as you raise, those matters are in front of the committee. And I do not think it would be correct for the Speaker to preempt how the committee, which is duly, appointed to determine a pronounce on those matters.
All right, Speaker, I think I'm not going to be, I'm not going to drill on this further, but let me end it on this score, particularly as it regards members
I don't think only it's a matter of drilling. It's just indicating that there are processes, and I think it's important to do their work and report. And that's why I've indicated to you that even on this instance, once these two committees and the Intelligence Committee look at the allegations, make their assessment, they will come to Parliament and make recommendations to say, having looked at the gravity of this matter, this is what we are asking Parliament to do in addressing these matters.
All right. Speaker, do we know for certain that Minister Mchunu, General Mkhwanazi, and the other general whose name was mentioned here, General Sbiya, are going to be invited to table evidence before these committees? Do we know that for certain?
Only, again, you have committees that have been given a mandate. The Speaker this afternoon met the chairperson of the Justice and Constitutional Development Committee, Honorable Nhlanhla, met with Honorable Ian Cameron, the chairperson of police, gave them the mandate which they must execute. Again, I don't think the Speaker must go even the committee seat to determine what. I don't think it would be appropriate for the Speaker, having given such a mandate to these appropriate chairpersons of committees, to then jump the gun.
All right.
In terms of what they have to do.
Final question, Speaker. What is said in Parliament is said under oath. That I know for certain. What I may not be privy to is what the legislation says when a member, therefore, deliberately misleads a committee. What does the law say about punishment that is meted out, therefore?
As I've indicated, when a member is alleged to have misled Parliament, a committee or individual members can refer that matter through the Speaker or individually directly to the Committee on Ethics.
All right. Speaker, thank you very much for your time. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Thoko Didiza.